Welcome to the JTV Caribbean News. I am Sean Rose. The government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines has ended the first half of 2015 with a deficit on the country's overall balance of 21.1 million EC dollars compared to 10.8 million EC dollars for the same period in 2014. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves revealed a $13 million hike in the deficit in response to questions from opposition leader Annem Eustace during a recent sitting of the country's parliament. The Prime Minister, who also holds responsibility for finance, planning, legal affairs and other portfolios, said current revenue fell to 214 million EC dollars for 2015, down from 252 million EC dollars in 2014. And still in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, leader of that country's main opposition party, the New Democratic Party, Annem Eustace, says his party will focus on the spiritual connection with the Garifuna people before the economic benefits. Eustace was addressing a rally in the northeast of St. Vincent to welcome home a delegation of Garifuna representatives.
If we can achieve this, our own country will be transformed. We'll be talking about the population, including our diaspora, other than Garifuna, of over 1 million people who will in fact be part of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, who can set up businesses, some of them here, who can come here as tourists, many thousands. And I want to say something about that tourism thing, because I made statements already, but I don't want it to be humbugged by our desire to make the spiritual reconnection. The economics and finance will come after. Our prime goal now must be to make the spiritual connection with the Garifuna, and they become part of our hearts and part of our home. But in addition to that, I'm an economist by training. I see good and great economic benefits from having a market of 1 million and having a market of 100,000. Major differences I see. I've done some work already, which I have announced, which shows that if only 1.5% of Garifuna business in Vincent in the tourist season, we make another $30 or $40 million on that alone. If 1.5% of the Garifuna population were to pay a visit to St. Vincent during the tourist season or any other time. But we don't have to talk about that now. What we have to deal with now is making sure that those who are trying to stop this process, that we stop them. We stop them by doing the necessary. And it's just not love alone. We have to deal with international law. We have to deal with those areas we feel should be covered in any arrangement with the Garifuna. And we're doing that now. I'm not going to give the details of that today because we're in a process which is going to involve lawyers and a lot of different aspects. But we have it on board. We have a draft treaty already which we are looking at. And we are doing this in collaboration with our Garifuna brothers.
The opposition NDP has been criticized by the ruling Ralph Gonsalves-led ULP for offering honorary citizenship to the descendants of some 2,000 Garifuna people who were uprooted from St. Vincent and the Grenadines and sent to Rotan, just off Honduras, by British colonialists after the Second Carib War of 1795 to 1797. With the Guyana-Venezuela rice agreement under the Petro-Carib deal in jeopardy, some rice millers in Guyana are forced to find new markets on their own behalf, while some remain reluctant to venture into this exploration because of low prices. General Secretary of the Guyana Rice Producers Association, Dharam Kumar Siraj, made this disclosure with the Guyana Chronicle during a telephone interview with the publication. The rice millers have been asked to remove their cargo in storage at the wharf because the Venezuelans have refused to accept it, and the demurrage charges have been building up, contributing to a $300 per ton loss for the millers. However, Siraj noted that currently the RPA and the Guyana Rice Development Board are working cooperatively to address the losses of the millers and will soon meet to develop an alternative to assist them. The Guyana Chronicle reports that some rice farmers are afraid to invest in producing more rice and have not replanted, although the second crop has already been sown. There seems to be no end to the invasion of seaweed affecting coastlines washed by the Atlantic Ocean and the Caribbean Sea. The influx of sargassum seaweed started at the end of 2014 and has been spotted as far away as West African countries like Ghana, where piles reach up to 10 feet high, and along the shores of Florida from Palm Beach to Jetty Park. Experts blame the current seaweed explosion on climate change and shifting currents. But some also believe that in 2011, in addition to climate change, cleanup efforts for the BP oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico might have contributed to the growth in seaweed that is now plaguing the Caribbean. The world is changing, and this is a perfect storm, said Sue Springer, CEO of the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association, which is planning to host a sargassum symposium in September and bring in scientists and experts to have a dialogue about the situation. The last time the Caribbean region witnessed an influx of sargassum seaweed of a similar magnitude was in 2011. In that year, the St. James Club and Villas Hotel in Antigua was closed for a month to remove 10,000 tons of seaweed from its beaches. And finally, in this week's Caribbean News segment, the 2015 Barbados Cropover has received a passing grade from some leading players in the festival and a senior tourism official. Veteran leader of the popular Power X4 Masqueraders band, Shetwin Stewart, said he was satisfied that the annual festival was getting larger. Stewart told Barbados Today newspaper he would launch his band a lot earlier next year in order to spend more time preparing for Grand Cadoument. The festival is set to contribute between 80 million and 100 million US dollars to the local economy. Popular entertainer and MC of many Cropover events, Mark Fingal, said he believed the festival went well this year. While describing Cropover this year as a phenomenal success, Chief Executive Officer of the new Barbados Tourism Product Authority, BPTA, Dr. Kerry Hall, said the festival had grown tremendously. However, Hall said more effort should be placed on promoting and marketing all other aspects of the festival besides the fetes. While she was pleased with the number of visitors coming to the island for the parties and Grand Cadoument, Hall said it was equally important to get more tourists there for the other activities. That's it for this week's Caribbean News segment. I am Sean Rose. And coming up next on JTV News, Premier Dr. Orlando Smith calls for unity among Commonwealth parliamentarians, and RVIPF destroys 17 bales of cocaine.